Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to.
Join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical, transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. I'm Jay, and this is Pod 94. And today we're going to be talking about the wood element. And if you're wood, like me, then this is all about what you might truly want in life. So it's a great podcast to listen to, especially if you're in a hurry or you don't have time. We're going to talk all about that. And of course, I'm with my co-host with the most, Lita Herman.
Welcome back, Inspired Action listeners. Today we are going to take that deep dive again into our desires.
Desires, that sounds like...
Sounds a little
crazy. Not that
kind of desire.
G-rated.
G-rated desires. So we're trying to move through the first stage of alchemy, and this is about the second step of alchemy.
We discussed the first step of stage 1 of alchemy in Pod 87, if you remember, Lita.
Yes.
And then on our last episode, Pod 93, do you remember that one too?
I do.
You do? Okay,
it was
great.
very recent.
Very recent. It's the last one we just did, so you're right on track if you're listening in order. We discussed the second step, which we call asking yourself, what do I really want question? Or the what do I really want question.
There you go. So we're building on this series of episodes on the 5 elements and how each elemental type experiences different aspects of alchemy. So the first set was about entering the dark tunnel of mystery. And the second set now is what do I really want?
What do I really want? And so, of course, we have to start with wood.
Of course. Because why, Jay?
Because we're impatient. We want to move along quickly.
Yes.
But it is fascinating to, when I talk about this with other people, especially other people who have wood first or second, about what do they really want to do with their lives.
Yes. And what's going to give a wood person a sense of completion or of fulfillment?
Now, that is the big question of the day. But wait, before we go, we can't answer that question yet. Let's give everyone a little update on what's going on with the Inspired Action Podcast and the Alchemy Learning Center.
Yes, so we're super busy and excited to be releasing our audiobook of Through the Mystery Gate. Now, if you don't know that book is about all the stuff we're talking about in this podcast. So it's a great book to check out if you haven't already. And we're so excited to offer an audiobook, which I've read and Jay as well has helped. And we are just putting it out.
Yeah,
so,
it's going to be exciting. So we're going to say April 2022. And since we're early in April, we're hoping.
Yeah.
But no matter when you listen to this, even if it's April 2024, it should be out.
Yes.
You can find it.
Yes. And we just want to mention that if you aren't familiar with the Alchemy Learning Center, we have a new app. So you can just, on your phone, look for Alchemy Learning Center and voila, you can...
took a good thing the Immortals are around. It took a lifetime for that thing to
be done. Yeah. So we're super proud of it.
It seems like a year in the internet world. That's like...
Yes.
Eternity.
And I'd recommend, if you haven't checked it out, there's some free classes and you might like to look at our Dao Yin Qigong class. It's just a simple class that you can do every morning to enhance your chi flow in your body.
You probably could do it at night too, but I find it a little energizing.
It is energizing, and we're working on a Tai Chi class right now.
Yes, we already have it. We already shot the footage. We're just getting it edited.
Yeah.
And we're going to get those people right on it.
And if you're new to the podcast and the Alchemy Learning Center and you're a practitioner, you might like to learn a little bit more about our CEU classes that we have and our Alchemy Apprenticeship, which we're starting a new cohort in September.
If you can say the word,
if I can say the word.
It's actually filling up. It's going to be global, and just like this one right now, people from all over the world, which is mind-boggling. It's fantastic. We're working over the boundaries of world travel, and we're doing things Zoom, and we're doing all kinds of cool stuff, and we're trying to dodge all those nasty COVID restrictions by keeping it online, but we will have some in-person components as well.
Yeah. So check it out. Whatever you're interested in, we've got classes on the 5 elements. We've got all kinds of stuff.
Lots
so
of free stuff, a lot of cool things.
Check out the Alchemy Learning Center. .com. And also just a reminder for everyone out there, you can rate and review our podcast, which we would really appreciate.
Yes, it only takes a second, literally like 10 seconds.
And for those of you who have read the book, we would super duper appreciate a rate and review on Amazon as well.
Thank you. And it only can just be, I like.
Yes. Period. And that's good.
I like you like, period.
I like you like.
That's right.
I like you like that.
Anything. Doesn't have to be long. We often hear people and we ask them and we're like, I've got to get my thoughts together. I like you like. No,
I want the next review to be that. I like you like. All right.
We'll take it on iTunes or Amazon.
So all you wood people, take on that challenge because you like short reviews. So
So if you really do like you like, spread the love. Okay, so let's get back to the wood energy and woods and the what do I really want question. So what do I really want is the question.
That is the question of the day. Well, but first, stage 1 of alchemy, let me just review. It requires us to make agreements with ourselves where we're willing to actually ask these deep questions of ourselves.
Enter into the dialogue.
Yes. And so that's why you entered into the mystery tunnel in our previous segment. And now we're looking at what lies in the mystery. What are those answers to those deep questions? So the first of those questions is, what do I really want? And so the idea is we come into our physical bodies to try to work stuff out. We're born with a question like, what if? What if? Emphasis on if.
So is that the dreamer?
Yeah. Well, we all are. We come with this, we call it a curriculum. The Taoists call it a curriculum. We've talked about this before, and we call this the 9 palaces of the heart. And each of us has a palace that we're really working on in this lifetime. And we always say, if you don't know about the 9 palaces, we covered that a lot in our first season of the podcast. So go back and check that out. But today we're talking about the wood elements. So, Jay, what palaces are we talking about here?
Health and wealth, which are definitely in the top of the domino one. So if, health or wealth starts to be challenging, it could take you down. So you got to really pay attention to that, especially if you have wood first or second, like we're talking about today.
We said in our last podcast that usually the answer to the what do I really want question is some version of your 9 palaces curriculum. So you think if you get this thing, then you'll be happy. So in essence, we're all pursuing happiness in some form or another.
So is it like the dangling carrot of what you can't have, or is it what you work hard to achieve, or is that the elusiveness of never really of either one?
Well, achieve is the right word for wood because wood people are always trying to achieve, but the question is, what are they trying to achieve?
Yeah, I think that is one of the key words for the pursuit of happiness for a wood person. And that's wood first or second. I wanted to say that every time. So just imagine if it's wood first or second. What are they trying to achieve? What is the goal of the achievement?
Yes, underneath all those amazing things they're accomplishing, what are they really looking for?
And why?
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So Lita, tell us. We need to know. I need to know.
All right.
No pressure.
So what they're looking for is recognition. It's that feeling that there's a reward for all their hard work.
There we go. A little bit of applause there.
Like someone is seeing the greatness of them. It's the constant, unwavering pursuit of greatness that motivates them. But what's the point of making something great if all your friends and loved ones aren't better off for it?
Or the neighborhood, or your workplace, or the planet, or the environment, or the galaxy.
Exactly.
I don't know, what's the point?
Yeah, why not? The galaxy, exactly.
It's like the big win-win.
Yes. And so what if all your friends and loved ones are actually, not better off, and they don't recognize, or maybe they are better off and they just don't realize it. So you did all that hard work for nothing? They don't even care. They don't even notice.
Not possible.
Yeah. So
that's the worst.
It's the worst.
I agree. And actually, way more humble than it sounds. It's really about working for the highest good for all. The big win-win, in my opinion, is everyone is happy, and that makes the wood person happy.
Right.
So everyone around you, whether it's tiny, if your dog is happy, then you're happy. If your partner's happy, then you're happy. If your neighbors are happy, then you're happy. So it just keeps, going outward like the ripple in the pond.
Right. But if no one recognizes the improvements that a wood is making in the world, they feel like, is it really worth it? It certainly doesn't feel like greatness if at the end of the day, it can feel like a big waste of time.
Yeah, why bother is the challenge of the defeated wood person.
Yeah.
Why bother?
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to make a difference.
And what makes them feel defeated? I mean, they may have even had the win and achieved the goal, but nobody notices. Now they're defeated.
Or we could add to it, if someone criticizes.
Yes,
that
even
could
worse.
also take a wood person down.
Oh,
We're going
my
to talk
God.
about that later.
So sometimes you think that the thing you want to achieve will be awesome, but then when you accomplish it, then what happens?
That's right. There we go. You're almost on cue there, Lita. So it's no good. It's no win-win. It's the lose-lose.
Right.
So was it really a waste of time if the recognition, it doesn't have to be grandiose recognition of this giant. It doesn't have to be a plane flying across the sky with a big banner, although that would be nice if I said thank you, right? Across the sky
there you
with a
go.
banner, but it doesn't have to be that.
Or, it doesn't even have to be a trophy. It could be a high five. But that recognition, that moment of, yes, you did it.
I'm certain now that I think about that, the word person, someone probably invented that big banner being dragged behind a plane.
That's
to
true.
say thank you.
That's
right?
true.
Or they were
That's true.
thanking a wood person. I don't know, either way, or both, right?
Yes. So for those of you who've been listening to the podcast for a while, we all know that wood people are striving for greatness. And, here on this planet, they're trying to make it a better place than when they arrived. So what makes them happy is this feeling that they've accomplished that. They've made the world a better place.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true, Lita. You can just keep going with that because I love it.
Okay. But it's not that simple because how do we determine whether the world is a better place?
Or just a better place in the mind of the wood person.
Yeah. So let's say you came and you built something amazing, but no one benefited or even noticed or cared.
Impossible.
Right. And so
But maybe I'm not going to say impossible.
Right.
Nothing's impossible.
Right. So how does a wood measure greatness?
Giant yardstick.
Right.
Like Shrek-sized yardstick.
There you go.
A yardstick as big as the Empire State Building. Right?
I guess it's more than the normal amount of yards then.
You need a big yardstick.
They need a
right?
football stadium yardstick.
You need a big one.
So they have to create things that are recognized to be great by those around them, because what's the point if there's no recognition? So it sounds like they're really just hoping to get their ego stroked, but it's not that at all.
It's really not. It's really not. It's, it would really be easier if greatness was measured by how they see it and no one else sees it. But truly, if it's not benefiting others, then it's not really great to them.
Yeah.
And does that make sense? I don't know. A little.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're not just working for themselves.
No.
They're always working in this divine plan.
It's like the visionary, like
yes.
the bigger looking of the life.
So really, they want to be in alignment with the divine plan and fulfill that master plan, of how things should progress in the world. So that's kind of what they're doing all the time.
I feel like sometimes, Lita, when, a wood person is working on a project that doesn't seem to be getting the recognition, or it's not really, moving along how they want it, they feel like they're barking up the wrong tree, so to speak, and then they might lose interest or they might just walk away from that project.
Yeah, and also wood people by nature put a lot of fishing lines in the water to see which ones get bites. So they might have a lot of projects that they've started, and that's why they're really good in the realm of business, because they might have 20 great ideas to improve the world, but only one or two of them are recognized. Or in other words, only one or two fish bite those hooks on those lines, and then they go focus on those and reel them in. And that's kind of how it works.
So the question is, how do you know what line is going to bite, maybe turn into something worthwhile? So again, it's that quest for the win-win. I think that, they're offering greatness in many ways, either leadership or coaching or motivation, and they're just seeing what the world actually needs from them.
Yeah, that's it.
And what they need to move the world along.
Yeah, so it's actually quite humble again. It's not about what I think is going to make the world a great place. It's what we all think will make this world a better place. And so the wood person's not the one to decide. They just put out all their good ideas out there and see what everyone else thinks.
I do think, a lot of times they're the leader or coach or an owner of a project or a business. So they are on top, but they really don't want to be like held down to that commitment all the time, I don't think.
Yeah. And, we were just talking about,
They have other interests is what I'm trying to say. They have many interests.
Yeah. Now, we were just talking about how kind of like a wood person's responding to the outer world, but sometimes wood people have truly great ideas that are ahead of their time. And so if you think of like Steve Jobs in the early 90s telling us that we'd all have this personal assistant tool in our hands that we do literally everything on, we thought, I thought back, I was working in the tech industry.
Visionary, and he was trying to make the world a better place.
I was working in the tech industry at the time. I went to one of his conferences and we were all like, this guy's nuts.
Yeah.
But clearly he wasn't. So he didn't get the recognition right away, but he kept at it because he was committed to this idea that he was making the world a better place.
And, if you study his story, it's failure, and then the smaller victories.
Yes.
And then also people didn't quite see his vision, and he got ousted, and they brought him back. I mean, a lot of different things with him in particular, but, he had an idea. And also, look, so you think about that. The iPhone, the iPod, all those things, they made the world a better place.
Maybe. Some of us might argue that point.
And they also made the company a lot of money, which is the win-win.
Right.
So, and all, it's just the win-wins can be multiple. They don't just have to be a clear 1, 2. So then again, that's a perfect example. Did they really make the world a better place?
I mean, I think Steve Jobs thought so.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
And so then that means that he was happy. He got fulfillment from doing that activity. And so what woods are really trying to do is I call them instruments of the divine. It's like through them, they're like a channel of energy to make progress in the world. And so they're just like helping us all grow and move towards a better place.
We're just on the continuous self-improvement, home improvement, life improvement train, right?
Yes, yes.
Choo-choo. We just keep going. But no, it's true. And, this is when we're talking like when wood are in really good places.
Yes.
When they're positively reinforced, like with rewards or motivation, because they love to be motivated as well.
Yeah.
They need to have their energy going as well.
And that's why there's such good coaches in the world because, they love to be motivated. They love to motivate others. They're always looking for ways to improve those tips, those strategies. This is their bailiwick.
Their bailiwick? Really? Okay.
Okay, a little old-fashioned word there. Well, it's juicy for them.
Oh, wait. Geez, come on. Let's just say it's what motivates them, what helps them get out of bed in the morning.
Okay.
Remember, Lita has wood last.
Okay.
So
she's all right, those are fire words. What can I say?
No, they're okay, but let's just go with motivates.
It doesn't matter really what a wood person is working on. It could be anything under the sun, whatever piques their interest at that time.
And Lita asked me to give a quick example. So for me, 1 minute, I want to do biking, and then I discover gravel biking. So I'm on the indoor bike, like a Peloton-like bike. It's the Nordic Track, and then I discover gravel biking on there. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like this new craze, and it's something new and different. I have to know all about it. But I don't just stop there by enjoying it like most normal people. No, I have to deep dive. I have to learn about all kinds of gravel riding and the events for gravel riding. And then I have to know how to fix a gravel bike, and I have to know how to do it better. And I have to find out what is the best possible gravel bike for where you live in the world. And guess what, Lita? I don't even own a bike. Okay, so it's all about the bikes one day, and the next day it'll be about alchemy, thinking about ways to apply theories of the 9 palaces for my coaching clients, or, just how to strategize all of our lives with more balance and fulfillment. Fulfillment for me, it's all about one flow in life, always keeping my brain moving, absorbing knowledge, focused, moving along, seeing how I can make the world a better place.
And number one, most important, not being bored.
Right. And having goals. I think that helps.
Yeah. I mean,
so they could be little goals, medium goals, big goals.
Right. But boredom is like the death knell for wood. They just hate boredom. So the end result of all of this is the thing you're going for as a wood person is that recognition that there's been improvement. It doesn't have to be a big reward, like we said. It could just be that high five, but it's that good job feeling, job well done. And it helps so much that people around you see it and acknowledge it.
And again, we're talking about wood. I've done a lot of work on my energy throughout the years. I was much more, big in the world than I am now as far as energetics. And that can be a lot of, energy for some people to take, and many times It's too loud or too much or too bossy or too know-it-all. So, we're talking about wood in balance here with the other palaces in your life.
And when wood starts to mature over time, they begin to realize that they can recognize for themselves their own success.
Absolutely.
And they begin to see where they've done well, and then they don't actually need that recognition from everyone else.
Right. And the outside validation or that, big gesture doesn't have to be.
They can high five themselves.
That's right.
What does that look like?
This is called a clap. Good job, Jay.
Good job. So like Steve Jobs and so many amazing maverick woods out there, sometimes the recognition doesn't come right away. And so woods have this thing called the oracle, which is like this all-knowing, future-telling part of wood. It's the spirit of wood. It's this knack for knowing the future. Well, clearly Steve Jobs saw the future. He saw that it was all in these handheld devices.
So just remember, Lita, everyone has wood in them.
Right.
Okay, we all have it. We all have all 5 elements. So it's not like this magical thing that only people have it in the top 1 or 2. It's everyone has it. They just have to work it.
Right. And who's going to be the next Steve Jobs? Right. This is old now. Right. iPhones are like been there, done that. Like what is it next? Implants of some kind, or someone's going to dream up something new, some wood person, and they're going to be way ahead of their time, but they'll have seen the future,
the vision,
and they're doing it to make the world a better place. And they're willing to pay the price maybe of no recognition at the beginning because they know it will come.
And that kind of seems like a hard road to follow for many people. They really need to be rock solid in themselves and recognize the greatness of what they're doing, even if they don't get that positive feedback for a long time. And think about it. That's easy to say, but that's not easy in reality to have to think and live and that is a challenge for wood. Absolutely, it's a challenge.
Yeah, and it's really hard. It's kind of like the work we're doing here at the podcast. We know alchemy is so important. We know it's making our lives better and other people's lives better. But just like this little podcast, it took a while to get it going, and it's growing and growing every day. And now it's being listened to all over the world. It's kind of like this sleeper podcast. It's like now we're getting emails every day of new people finding it. Thanks to all of you who've written reviews, etc. So we really appreciate that. And really it's that wood vision that, Jay, obviously being wood, had a lot of, and that I've had as well. So
and it's been fun along the way. So that's the win-win for us as well. We love to do this. We love to share alchemy. We love to just talk about it all the time. And obviously, and I guess it's true, people all over the world love to talk about it too.
And, that should probably be where we end. But, Jay, we forgot to bring in the wealth and health palaces.
Oh, yeah, let's go really good.
So I just want to do that quickly, yeah.
Okay, great. So the wealth and health, I think those palaces are the foundation of greatness. Think about it. Great health, great wealth. So if you think of wealth as on the monetary, and think of it as abundance as well.
Yes,
think of it as many, many facts, not just, how much do you have in your bank account?
Yes, from that perspective, how can a wood be truly great if they aren't able to operate optimally? They need optimal physical health and mental states, and they need resources to bring that greatness into the world. So wealth is really about resources. It's not only money, but the things you need to accomplish great things. So if you're creating something new, you need those building blocks for whatever you're building.
Yeah, and Lita, also the resources, we think about with water a lot of the time about guarding their resources. So, also for wood people, resources could be people that work with them or they're helping them to further this vision along. So I think that if you keep your health, and I also found, not to go off too much here, that wealth and health, it's easy for them. They may seem like they obsess about it all the time, but it's just that underlying, always in there. It's like, I don't really think about it, but I think if you looked at my life from the outside, you would think that I probably do obsess a little bit about health or abundance. But I don't really do it in a way that's, I have to do this, I have to do that. But it's who I am.
Right.
It's what my jam is.
Right. And the other thing is, Jay, woods.
Although I don't eat jam. Because I don't eat sugar. Just saying.
Because she's healthy. All right. So, or she thinks that,
That's right.
who knows
right?
what's healthy,
It
really.
could be like the all jam diet and I'm missing out on it.
But she thinks she's eating a great diet.
Right.
That's all that matters.
I'm trying.
We talked about that in the Health Palace in season 1 about how the diet you eat is the healthiest diet.
So think about it. If your health palace is out of whack and you want to get a new job and you're like, I'm too tired to go get a new job, or I can't get out of bed. How am I going to get a new job? Like the health palace will take you down.
Right.
So if you want to travel the world and you can't walk, you're in a wheelchair. That doesn't mean you can't. You just have to move the obstacles and find a way to get around those. But your health, it could be mental health. It could be physical health. It could be how you look at it. If you say, I'm totally in on the jam diet, tell me what to do, I'm jamming on it, then you'd be like, do your own work, homework, do your research. What people love to know. So it doesn't really matter. There's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. It's what you believe in, what feels right to you.
Do you think you're healthy
Right.
and doing healthy things?
Right. And oftentimes I ask people, do you think you're wealthy? And they're like, well, not really. But then when we talk about abundance and, so it can be huge obstacles for people, especially the wealth.
So let's get back to building blocks and how to build these things that are great. And so what would people are most concerned about is that they're not going to be slowed down by obstacles. So the obstacle of not having enough money to buy those bricks, to build that thing that you need to build to make something great, that really thwarts them. And so what they're looking for is not to get thwarted, not to bump into these obstacles. So the reason it's the wealth palace is that abundance of wealth allows them to fulfill their destiny of making things great. So think of it as their currency.
Right. For freedom to explore many, many things.
Exactly. And that's why wood people right now are all excited about a new world currency, this crypto idea, Bitcoin and all these things. Why are they so excited? Because they see it as a means for them to accomplish more great things.
Right.
So of course, it's the wealth palace. They're interested in what's this new kind of wealth? What's this new kind of currency that
and is it a big vision?
Right.
A new visionary thing?
Exactly.
And go back to the Steve Jobs thing. Is it really better for the world?
Yeah.
Or is it not?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Right.
Because there's good and bad. If you have that good and bad, there's arguments, I should say, on either side of whether or not it's really a great thing.
But think about it. The whole premise of crypto is to have a currency that's easier for people to work with.
Right.
Whoa, that's like Wood's theme.
And it's good for everyone.
Yeah.
There's no hierarchy of...
And
it's really for everyone in the world. If you think about that, that's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's not about just riches for the uber wealthy. It's about, helping everyone be able to invest in their future. So
that's just a great example. So think about that. That's really it's about so now this whole crypto thing is getting some momentum. The obstacles have fallen away. It's starting to get some traction. So I who knows where this is going to go, but that's just another good example of
it's the perfect example of wood and how they think about the world, not as money, as like dollars. They think about a currency that allows them to move forward without any obstacles. So no matter whether you're wood or not, you can work on your wood right now and ask yourself where you want to improve life as we know it, not just for yourself, but for those around you, because wood is benevolent.
Benevolent, kind. Yeah. They love to help people who need help. And they love to be motivate people.
Yeah. So what is going to be your contribution to greatness? And even if you might not feel fulfilled by a great contribution to humanity and earth the way a wood person would, how would you feel if you successfully added something great to this existence?
Yeah, I think that's it. That's a great way to look at it, and also think about it as the health palace as well. How can you make yourself healthier?
Yeah. And really, wood people, it's your destiny. You don't have to obsess about it theoretically. You don't have to fixate on it. It is who you are. So the more you fixate, Jay was kind of touching on this earlier, the more she doesn't fixate on wealth and health.
It's not an amount of money. It's a feeling.
It's a feeling of abundance.
A feeling, yes. Yeah. And not in the lack. And that could be the challenge. So if you're starting to feel like lack, then you know you're having a challenge with that.
Yeah, what you really want optimally is the feeling that you already have health and wealth. And that's
so you
the
have to
destiny.
shift that feeling. You have to be able to shift that feeling and then allow it to come, and it will just flow.
Yeah, you never have to worry about it. If you're wood, it's gonna happen.
Right.
So that's what we just want to say is like, don't get in the way of it. Just allow it. Allow the abundance to come.
And just kind of enjoy the greatness of the moment.
Yeah.
For yourself inside, and not necessarily, if you're younger and you're listening, yes, you might want to get more accolades and more praise, but as you mature through and do, I always think the more good you do, the less recognition you need.
There you go. So the more you can move forward without obstacles and do what you were inspired to offer to the world, that's your greatness.
Right, absolutely. And that's a great place to end right there. For this
All right.
Next episode, we're going to take on the element of fire and what do they truly want? And that's going to be a hot one. Right.
Sizzle,
All right.
sizzle.
So
okay.
until next time, we hope you find your inspired action.
All right.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! Why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there. We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at lita@inspiredactionpodcast.com or jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog.